Welcome. Today, we're going to explore a really powerful idea for finding clarity and purpose in what can feel like a pretty chaotic world. We're diving into Tawhid, the idea of living a life with one single focus. Okay, let's just jump right in. Does it ever feel like you're being pulled in a million different directions all at once? I mean, your job needs this, your family needs that, society is telling you to be something else. It's this constant battle for your attention, for your energy. It's a recipe for burnout, right? So this brings us to a really big question. With all that noise, what is your one ultimate focus? What's the true north on your personal compass? Well, the source material we're looking at today offers a powerful answer to that feeling of being pulled apart. And it's a principle called Tawhid. It's all about finding that clarity. So let's start by breaking down exactly what it means. At its heart, Tawhid is about the absolute oneness of God. But the real key here is how it expands our idea of worship. You know, it's not just about prayer or rituals. It suggests that worship is, well, it's everything. It's every act of devotion, it's our deepest love, our greatest fear, our most stubborn hope, and our ultimate reliance. Tawhid means all of these incredibly powerful, life-shaping emotions get directed exclusively to one source, to God. So if Tawhid is about pointing all those core emotions to one place, then it becomes this incredibly personal idea, not just some abstract theology. It's really about cultivating a single devotion in your heart. Let's take a look at what that actually feels like. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because it breaks down that big idea of worship into these core questions about your life. What do you love the most? What do you fear the most? When every other door is closed, what do you really truly hope in? Whose word is the final authority for you? And what or who do you ultimately rely on? The principle of Tawhid is that the answer to all of these questions should point in the exact same direction. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? Nothing else gets the place in your heart that only God deserves. It's like there's this unique central space inside of us, like a throne in your heart, that can really only have one occupant. So the really crucial point here is what this displaces. I mean, if God is on that central throne, then it can't be shared with all these other things that are constantly competing for it. This idea suggests that the ultimate driver in your life shouldn't be the pursuit of money, or the climb for status, or the endless need for other people's approval, or even just satisfying your own immediate desires. Now, those things might still be in your life, of course, but they're moved from the very center to the side. Okay, so that kind of covers the internal world, the heart. But how does that change the way you actually deal with the external world? Well, that brings us right to our next section, the idea of one source of ultimate power. This is all about where you place your ultimate sense of control. The principle of Tawhid is this belief that the really big levers in life, what truly benefits or harms you, what leads to guidance or misguidance, these huge things like life, death, success, and loss are ultimately in God's hands, and God's hands alone. It's this radical letting go of the illusion that we or anyone else have total control over all the outcomes. Now, this comparison is so key because this is where people can get confused. Believing this does not mean you just sit back and do nothing. Not at all. You absolutely engage with the world. You use the causes. You go to the doctor. You put in the hard work. You make the plans. The real difference is where your heart is. Your hands are doing the work, but your heart's dependence, your trust for the final result, rests only with God. And this same logic of a single, ultimate source, it goes beyond just outcomes and applies to authority and obedience too. Look, we all listen to parents, teachers, bosses, but as this quote makes crystal clear, there's a hierarchy. If their command clashes with God's command, God comes first. It sets up this ultimate ethical framework that doesn't just rely on human authority. And the practical result of that? It's profound. It means you start to develop this internal moral compass that isn't just swayed by social pressure or whatever the latest trend is. Your principles are anchored. This means you don't just surrender your ethics to what's popular, and you don't obey people if it means disobeying what you believe is a divine command. So, we've seen how this one principle can reorient your heart and completely reshape how you see power. Let's pull it all together now and look at the overall impact this has on a person's life, the huge difference between a life that's pulled apart and a life with one clear direction. The source material describes a life without this single focus as a life pulled apart. And just look at this list. Does any of it feel familiar? Constantly trying to please different people who all want different things. chasing that approval that you can never quite get enough of, running frantically after success while being terrified of losing what you have. It's a state of inner conflict, and honestly, it sounds exhausting. But in contrast, a life centered on Tawhid brings this profound sense of unity. Your purpose simplifies, it becomes one. This doesn't mean other fears just disappear, but they become lighter because they're no longer your ultimate fear. Disappointments, yeah, they still hurt, but they become bearable because your ultimate hope wasn't just tied to that one specific outcome. And when success comes, it brings humility, not arrogance, because you see it as a gift from that one single source. This entire massive concept is famously summarized in one single, powerful verse from the Quran, one that's at the very heart of Muslim daily prayers. You alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help. And that one sentence just perfectly captures the two sides of this coin. You alone we worship, that's the principle of exclusive devotion, that internal compass in your heart. And you alone we ask for help, that's the principle of exclusive dependence, that external act of reliance. The two just go hand in hand. So, after everything we've gone over, if we had to boil it all down into a single line, this would be it. To live a life of Tawhid means living with one ultimate love, one ultimate fear, one ultimate hope, and one ultimate authority, God. And that brings us to our final thought, a question for you to reflect on that takes us right back to where we started. If you could clear away all the noise, all the demands, all the conflicting voices, and your life's direction was determined by only one compass, where would it point?